Alright, let's start banging this
Let's
out.
do this thing.
Let's get on the go, fam.
Let's get it.
What's going on, Phil? You good?
I'm doing good, man.
Doing good today?
Doing good.
Alright, bro.
It's been a minute, boys.
Trust
Been
me.
a minute.
Been a
Too
real
long.
minute.
It's been way too long, man. Give us the rundown, bro. Your background, where you played, all of that stuff. Prep
So
school.
pretty much I started out playing in Oakwood. For my high school career, I played there for in grade 9 and 10. I went OFSA in grade 10. Going into grade 10, I played on Team Ontario as well. After Oakwood is over, I decided to go to the States, and then I went to IMG in Florida. We had a pretty good team that year, top 10 in the country. I left IMG, then I went to Virginia. There was a first-year program called Sports Quest Academy. I had a good season that year too. We played well. I was one of the best point guards in the state. Unfortunately, that school shut down after 1 year, so I had to transfer. Yeah, I had to transfer again. I went to Baltimore, played with a guy named Akil Carr. Shout out to my boy Akil one time. Yeah, man, I was in Baltimore for a few months, but, you know, we weren't really doing academics. We weren't really going to class and this and that. So I left and I went to Rita for my last year of high school to finish out. So I went to like 6 different high schools in the 5 years. Crazy.
Rita?
Rita was in Waterloo.
Waterloo.
Yeah, it was like the only prep school at the time in Canada. Now you have like 50 new prep schools, all this stuff, right? So back then it was only Rita. Shout out to Terry Upshot too, right? He's one of the OGs. After Rita, I couldn't qualify for D1 because of all my transcripts. Like my grade 11 year, we did school online, so it wasn't like there was no recollection of me even being in school because I couldn't get my transcripts from grade 11. So everybody that was in school that year had to either go JUCO or had to, you know, find a different route. And I didn't want to go JUCO, so I came back home. Like I had a few D1s that were interested in me, but I had to come back home. So then I took the year off and I got an opportunity to go to Nipissing, and that's where I met my guys, Jerron and Christian right here. So I went to Nipissing for a semester, and I had to leave early because of some family issues. And yeah, man, here we are 7 years later. Now I'm coaching, training guys.
Fire. Oh, let's start good. All right.
Okay. Yeah, so I left Nipissing when I was 19 years old, after a few months only, and I didn't want to leave. I wanted to stay. Felt like we had a good team, a good program there, a good culture. Great teammates too, but I had to do what was best for me and my family, right? My dad wasn't doing well. He was sick at the time. Rest in peace to my dad, though, passed away a year ago. But, you know, like, he wasn't doing well, so I had to do what was best for him. And I came back home and spent time with him. And, you know, I was grateful that I was able to do that. You know, he did a lot for me, so I had to show him love too, right? Of course. So, anyway, after that year was over, I didn't want to get back into playing. Right, I took a year off. I was like, you know, when you take a year off, I didn't really have that same passion no more. I'm like, yo, real life hit me. So like, what do I do next? So then I got into coaching and training, and you know, that's kind of how I started, right? After I played. So always never put all your eggs in one basket, guys, right? Always have a plan B, right? Just because, you know, basketball may be your life, and for a lot of guys, that's what they've been doing their whole life, and after they're done playing, they don't know what to do. So, you know, always have other interests too, because you never know when this game can stop playing for you, right? You can stop playing tomorrow. God forbid you get injured. God forbid something happens, right? So always have other interests outside of the game. Obviously, if you're good, invest all your time in the game, but, you know, be invested in other shit too, right? So that's a big takeaway I learned, right? Like, even when I stopped playing, like, I didn't really know what I was going to do, but I knew I wanted to give back. So I kept being involved around the game. Because, you know, once you're around ball, you got to stick with it, right?
Facts, 100%. Are you good?
Yeah.
I guess what got you into training and starting off for one? What's the long-term vision?
Right. So I actually started training 4 years ago, but I wasn't fully in 4 years ago. I'm going to keep it a G, keep it 100. I wasn't all in 4 years ago. So when I was working out, guys, 4 years ago, it was like, I didn't know this was what I was going to do for the rest of my life, so I wasn't bought in fully. And when you're not fully buying into something, you're not going to see those results. Like, you want to be a hooper, you want to be a doctor, you want to be a lawyer, you got to be all into that 100%. You can't be 70% or half-assing it, right? You're not going to see those same results. Like, you got to be all in. And that's why I started my brand, All for One. We're all in this together. You got to be all in. And my slogan is be 100. So keep it real with people, right? Keep it real with your players. Keep it real with people off the court. Don't sugarcoat it. Like, end of the day, I don't care about my players' feelings. I care about them as a player. I want them to get better. But if I'm telling you, yo, you're not a D1 player right now, like, I'm going to tell you you're not a D1 player right now. But we're going to work towards you making it to that level, right? So, you know, like, you got to be all in, bro. Like, and I started being all in the last year into this brand. And, you know, I've seen good results because I've been all in. But I wasn't all in before. You know, I was doing other things too. I was trading, I was doing Forex, I was doing this, I was doing that. So my mind wasn't fully locked into basketball. Like, when you're not fully locked into something, bro, it's tough, right? Like, you won't see those results right away. So, you know, buy in, man. All those kids out there, buy into the game, buy into the craft, be fully locked in. Parties, the girls, everything else will be there later on, I promise you. You get that D1 scholarship, you go to the league, you can pick what girl you want, bro. Like, so just keep hooping.
For the next young trainer, no matter what sport, someone who wants to get into training, how would you suggest to get started? They don't know where to start. What's next?
Right. So I would start off, like, I started out doing workouts for free in the beginning. Like, no cap. When people didn't really know who I was, or like in the beginning, I'm like, yo, I'm gonna be a trainer. They're like, okay, well, I don't know what you are. Okay, so let's do a workout for free. And if you like what I do, then we can talk about the cost, right? So I did workouts for free in the beginning just to get my foot in the door and get my name out there. And then, you know, you gotta love what you do. So study the game. If you used to play, I feel like every good trainer, every good coach, right, has some background in basketball, either playing or whatever. Like, it's tough when you didn't play the game. You gotta do more like analytics and study the game more. But when you hooped, you know what it's like in the locker room, right? You know what it's like to be down by 5 points in the fourth quarter. You know that feeling because you've been there, right? You've been in the locker room. You've been in the practice battles when guys are going at you. You know when you do a 17 and you're not touching the line and coach is making you do a next 17 and you're trying to page the next man like, yo, bro, touch the fucking line, bro. Right? And then you get into that battle, you know that feeling. So you know the emotions, right? The ups and downs of it. Right, when you did hoop, you don't know all that. So it's different when you used to play the game, because a lot of these players now, when I train and coach them and I'm telling them to do something, bro, I literally see myself in their shoes when I used to be there, right? Because, bro, I was in their shoes 10 years ago. That's why, like, I relate to a lot of these guys well, because I was just in their shoes not too long ago. So we relate better, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta be in the trenches to know what it's like, right? We was in them trenches, right, boys? In Nipissing?
Trust me.
We was in them trenches, yo. No cap.
You gotta feel it to be able to teach it.
Facts.
Mm-hmm. What's in the future for Phil on and off the court?
Facts. Just keep growing my brand, bro. Just keep growing all for one. Trying to be recognized as one of the best at what I do, best trainers around the world at what I do. Keep developing young players, you know, trying to get, like, honestly, it's harder to get a guy to the NBA than it is to train a guy in the NBA. Because to train a guy that's in the NBA, right, he's already made it without you, unless you were his guy before. So when you work a guy out in the NBA, bro, like, he's already making millions. There's only you can get his game better and, like, develop some of his other things he may not have. But when you see a guy, and I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to, when you see a guy from, like, young, and you see his progression, okay, D1 scholarship and then playing pro league overseas, like, you were his guy, right? You know, you made it happen for him. Obviously, he put in the work, but you've been through it all, right? So it's harder to develop young players than it is to develop guys that are already pros, because they've already been a pro without you, right? So, you know, just keep developing, keep growing, bro, you know, and just keep growing, man. Like, got a long way to go. We're just getting started. Facts.
What does family mean to you? Family and basketball, what are those two things?
Family means everything to me, man, because I was brought up by my dad and my mom, who did a lot for me. Like, I even played in Serbia in grade 8. I got scouted. I went to a camp in Belgrade, in Zlatibor actually, which was in Serbia, for those of you that know. And I got scouted by one of the scouts in Red Star, and he liked my game, and he was like, yo, I want you to come play for me in Serbia. I was in grade 8, I'm 14 years old. And my mom was like, yo, we're going to go out there. Facts. Like, she quit her job. She was making good money too, like really good money. She was working in an office job back then. So my mom was like, yo, I'm gonna move out with you. I'm like, okay. My sister came too. She was really young. My dad stayed home in Toronto working, trying to provide for us. So I packed up all my bags and went to Serbia to play in grade 8 for Red Star, one of the best teams in Europe. So at the time, I wasn't a Serbian citizen. I had my Canadian passport, but I didn't have my Serbian papers. So I wasn't allowed to play in the official games. So I was only allowed to practice and play in friendly games. So my pops was like, yo, I miss you. You can't play in games. Come back. So I stayed in Serbia for about 6 months. It was a grind, yo. Like, it was a stupid grind. Like, school all day. And if you know, school back home is a lot harder than here. So I had like 4 hours of homework each day, 3-hour practices. And we didn't have a vehicle. So I wasn't mobile. I had to take the train and subway. Cool. 2 hours to practice, 2 hours to school. Like, a lot of you kids out there have it easy. Yo. You guys don't want to take the train and subway 30 minutes a day to come and hoop? I was doing it 3-4 hours a day trying to get it in, and you guys giving me all these excuses why you can't do it. I don't even believe in the word can't. I don't even know how to spell it no more. I spell it K-A-N-T. Kill all negative tendencies. Like, why can't you take the subway for 30 minutes a day to come and work out? I'll tell you, you don't want it bad enough, bro. Straight up. Like, if you wanted it, you would do it. A lot of you guys out there just say you want to be good, but then I work you guys out and you guys half-ass reps. It don't work that way, bro. Like, you got to be all in, right? So I was committed when I was younger. So that's why I seen the results that I seen. And that's why I was able to play this game in different countries and travel the world, because I was all in. This is all I did. I was a loser back in the day, like loser. I didn't want to go out with anybody. I didn't really have much friends. I was locked in. That's why I say like this, loser, right? Because I was locked in. I may have not been the cool guy back then because I was grinding. School and basketball is all I did, literally. Right? And that's how you guys should be doing it too, right? Leave the parties alone. That'll come. But you got to grind. No excuses. Get it in.
Specifically.
Yeah?
Yeah, you want to, yeah? All right, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of talent in Toronto. The game is obviously going up. Like, every year we have a guy being drafted in the NBA. So there's a lot of talent in Toronto. A lot of good coaches, a lot of good trainers, a lot of good mentors for people to follow. I think every year we're going to have more and more players in the league. Like, Toronto has a lot of talent, man. We're probably, like, no cap, top 5 in North America talent-wise. Up there with, like, New York and Cali, and Memphis has good hoopers. But we're up there, and people know Canada. Like, people used to think we're soft, and not think, but we were, like, and there still is soft in Canada, but now we're like stepping up, right? A lot more kids have confidence now. They see guys like Wiggins, and I'm talking back in the day, Corey, Tristan, that's back in my day, DeVoe, and like Mike Kabongo, all these guys. Now you have Shea, Nikhil, right? Wiggy, all these guys being drafted. So a kid in middle school and high school will be like, yo, I just played with him 3 years ago. Oh, I just played with Jamal Murray at Orangeville. Jamal was at Orangeville 3 years ago, and now he's making 150 M's in the league. So if he could do it, why can't you do it, right? He was a super gym rat. So just got to keep putting in the work and be around the right people. Listen to the right people, right? Don't have too many guys in one ear telling you what to do. That was one of my mistakes. I had a lot of people in my ear, and that's why I went to so many different prep schools, because I didn't know any better. But find 1 or 2 mentors that know and follow what they tell you, and you'll be successful, man. And man, only thing I want in Toronto is more gyms, though. You got no gyms out here. No gym time. So if you guys are listening to this, get some more gyms in the city, man, for these kids to hoop in.
I'm like, oh, this guy just stopped going. No one knew your story, right? Till later on, like that you had to focus on life stuff. That as an athlete, kids, it's okay to focus on your life. You don't just have to be a basketball player. You're not a basketball drone. Like, you made a decision that essentially created, look at right now, right? Like, what's the next 5 years gonna look like for you? You're gonna be a big name in the city, training kids. And who knows, if you would have kept playing ball, you might have been just a guy overseas who's chasing pennies.
Facts.
I'm saying everything happens for a reason.
Facts.
And this is the proof. And like, even we said, like, the narrative of your interview and our discussion is you, against all adversities, it makes a way of itself. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you went against the grain and you're...
Can I speak about one more thing about
please do.
adversity and like... Can I just go right into it?
Yeah, bro, go for it.
Pretty good.
Because I have a good point to make.
Yeah.
So a lot of the times we as human beings, we let our mind get in the way of our true success. And what I mean by that is, like, when you're in your mind a lot, the mind only exists in the past and the future. When you're living in the moment, you're present, you don't really have a mind. You're just reacting. It's like when you're making a play, right? You can't think about what move you're going to do before you do it, because you got to see how your defender is guarding you and then make a read off of how he guards you. So if he's giving you left, you go left. And if he beats you to the spot, you might counter. But you can't. A lot of guys, because I pick guys' brains, a lot of guys think about the move before they do it, and then it might not work. I'm like, bro, you can't do that. You got to play off instinct. Same with life. Everything is instinct, right? Don't be in your mind. That little voice in your head that tells you that you might not be able to do something or whatever, like, don't listen to your mind. Don't listen to your thoughts, because you're not your thoughts. You're just awareness behind it all, right? So don't live in the moment, bro. Like, whatever the defense gives you, do it. But don't think about the move before you do it, because it won't work, right? So, like, let's say you did a workout today or yesterday, right? Whatever you did today or yesterday does not matter no more. Tomorrow's a brand new day, so you got to put in that same energy the next day. You can't, have 4 or 5 good days of hard work and then take 2 or 3 days off. Because guess what? Those 2 or 3 days you took off, someone in China or in Africa or in Europe is putting in work and he's getting ahead of you. So don't think, oh, I worked hard for 2 weeks, I can chill out now for 2 or 3 days. Nah, bro, like, it's an everyday grind. It's who you are. Grind never stops. Like, you got to get better every single day, especially if, like, a lot of you guys, no one knows who you guys are out there as players, unless you're, but even when you're ranked, like, you got to go at guys, bro. Like, rankings don't mean anything. At the end of the day, it's, once that ball goes up, everything else goes out the window. It's how you can hoop, how much dog you have in you, how much fight you have in you, right? So, bro, just every single day, attack it as a brand new day. Don't look back. Don't look in the future. Just be present. Be present. Be here.
Ball goes up, everything. Yes.
Athleticism, please. I have to throw this point in there. I need this.
We're out there in the same boat. I need
please.
Yeah.
So for all you guys out there, I can't count how many kids have asked me, Phil, what can I do to dunk? Coach, what can I do to dunk? Probably about 50 players have asked me this year, and I see them work out and they can't do a left-hand layup, they can't do a reverse, they can't do a pivot. Bro, you're worried about the wrong things. You won't get a scholarship just because you can dunk. I can find an athlete anywhere on the street that's athletic. Learn to play the game. Master the fundamentals, ball handling, footwork, shooting, playing off the pick and roll, passing off one hand, passing with the left hand. Master that stuff, right? When you master that and become really good at everything, right, you're gonna be, I promise you'll be all right. But you guys are worried about dunking and you can't even make a left-hand floater or a left-hand layup. Like, why? And that's why, like, I'm trying to change the narrative here in North America, because guys are more athletic than Europe. But in Europe, for being real, like, a lot more kids are talented because they focus on the fundamentals back home. And I can speak on Serbia. Like, bro, when I was over there in Serbia, I was 14. You know what we did? We did 2 ball handling for 30 minutes a day, coming off ball screens, floaters. So that's why I had that in my game, because I worked on it for 2 hours a day, every single day. But over here, guys are on the Vertimax, guys are jumping, like, guys aren't doing this.